Hello there, beautiful friends, and welcome to another tutorial. Now, in the last tutorial, we saw how we can fetch data from the Mapbox Directions API and how we can dynamically render that data into our map. Now, in this tutorial, we're going to be looking at something a little bit different. We are still going to be using an API, the Geocoding API, but just to demonstrate what we did last time. So this is I fixed that error that we had encountered where I wasn't able to render my location from the map, but as you can see, there's this blinker right here, and it's indicating my current location. Now, what we can go ahead and do, I can just click on another point, and as you can see on the top left of my screen, there is a panel that has been displayed, and we have the directions to get to that place. So this is all dynamic, and I'm just going to zoom out a little bit. And right now what we would like to do is to create a search box where the user can put in the location that he wants to go, or rather the endpoint, and the map can render that place as its endpoint. So without further ado, let's get right into it. And before I continue, the issue that we had last time was I had omitted this ref right here. So I only had geocontrol, and therefore it couldn't reference the right ref from what you had. So that was the issue that we had. I also managed to install Tailwind, so that's why it's looking as neat as it is. And even if I was like to select a place that is quite far from where I am, so something like that, it is going to still give us something. Okay, I think I'm going to have to select a further place, because with what we have here, this is able to basically, there's a scroll bar. That's what I wanted you to see. So there's a scroll bar, and so I guess we can go ahead and go into Mapbox. So I'm gonna go into Mapbox, and I'm going to go to the Geocoding API. So the Geocoding API is found in the search just after the navigation. So there we go. So you'll find that there are two of them. So there's the search box API and the Geocoding API. So we are going to be using the Geocoding API. Now, with the Geocoding API, there are two types of Geocoding API technically. So we have the forward geocoding and the reverse geocoding. Now, with the forward geocoding, this is where we put in a text, and then that text is converted into geographic coordinates. And the other one, the reverse geocoding, is where we put in longitude and latitude, and then we get the name of a place. Now, with that said, there are a couple of things that we need to keep in mind while using the forward geocoding. So the first thing that we're going to use or implement in our application, or the development of our application, is something called endpoint. Now, with this, there are two types that exist. We have the Mapbox places and the Mapbox.places -permanent. Now, the one I'm going to utilize in this tutorial is the Mapbox places, because that is free and it won't take a lot of integration with what you're trying to do. And so these are the different data types that we can expect to get from our search queries. So we have country, region. So these are all possible responses that we can get from the database. And the other thing, of course, is our search text. Now, the search text can be any name of a place, a city, anything. So that is going to be converted to JSON, as you can see right here. So what we're going to do is that we're going to copy this URL, and I'm just going to create now a new component that we're going to just render below our main, that is the map. So I'm just gonna come up here, and I'm going to create a new component, and you're going to call it places.jsx, like so. And I'm just going to create a boilerplate, if Emmet would work. And let's give it a minute. Okay, it might seem that I might have to type this out. No problem. Let's just go ahead and do that. So I'm going to import. For this, of course, we are going to make a couple of imports from React, and I can just declare a function right here, and I'm going to call it places, and put brackets right there, and here I can do a simple return, and we can have our section going right here. And element is not working, so that's okay. And so I can also export this, so I can do a default export like so. And so now what we can go ahead and do is import useState, because you're going to be utilizing that, and useEffect like so. And so we are also going to be expecting some props, so I should just keep that open. And so now what we can go ahead and do is fetch the data, because there isn't much that is left. So we can just go ahead and fetch data. So I can just do simple, we can create a simple function. I'm going to call it getPlaces, and this is going to be an anonymous async function. And so we can go ahead and declare a variable right here, and this is going to be our promise from the server. So we can do an await, because we will be waiting for that data. So I can just do await and do a simple fetch, and now I have an error. Okay, that's fixed. So yeah, so this is what we have. So we can just go ahead and do const data to pass what we'll be getting from the database. So promise dot JSON to pass that data, and then we can just go ahead and do a simple console log of that data. So, and of course we should also remember to pass this into our useEffect hook. So that now this is good, and then also to remember our dependency array, and finally I can just pass that function right here, getPlaces, like so. And so now we should expect something getting displayed onto our console. So let me just go ahead and reload this. Let's give it a minute. Okay, the map is loading. Okay, we have our map. Okay, so apparently I had forgotten to, I also need to, of course, import this into a map in order to see it getting rendered. So let's just go ahead and do a simple import of places from, it's in the same, so like so, and I can just come down here and just there is okay, and save that, and let's see if we have anything. So it will load up, and we have some errors. So this is a 4.1 error. So what that means is that we need to pass in our access token. So actually I should have taken us through the error section. So we have a couple of errors that we can expect if we don't do things right. So the first one is the 4.1 error, the one that we have here. So that is the status code, and so this means that we didn't pass in our access token. So let's go ahead and fix that. So for our access token, I already had one declared right here. So I'm just gonna grab that and paste that to our component. So I'm just gonna grab this with Control C, and I'm just gonna go back and paste that right there. And I can go ahead and save that. And now let's see what other goodie we have. So with that, we can reload. Let's give it a moment. Okay, and so we have another error, a 404 error. Now with a 404 error, what you should know is that, of course, errors are important because we learn through errors, and I'm not just saying this. I actually did this so that we can be able to say it. So with the 404 error, what we should know is that we haven't specified an endpoint. Now for this, like I said, we have different endpoints, and Mapbox provides us with, or rather the forward geocoding API provides us with two endpoints. The first one is the Mapbox.places, and I said that we're going to be utilizing this. So let me just go ahead and grab this, and I'm going to copy that and paste it right there, like so. And so for our search text here, we can put in the name of a place, so it can be any city, any country. So for this, let me just go ahead and use, since I'm from Kenya, I can just use my capital city. Let me just use Nairobi, like so. And so now if we go back and reload our application, okay, we have another error. Did we not fix this? Okay, let's just go ahead and take a look. So we have Nairobi Mapbox. Okay, so we haven't, I omitted the M, so sorry about that. So I promise that this time around we're going to get something. So let's just go ahead and reload this. But you do understand now how the errors work, so that if you're doing this, you shouldn't be, like with querying the database, we always expect something, even if it's an error. So in case you do find one of those errors, just relax and go to the documentation, and you're going to find how you can debug it. So in our case, the 404 error means that the endpoint, there's a problem with our endpoint, and so now we have something getting loaded. So we can go ahead and open this and see what we have. There we go. So as you can see, we have something getting returned from the database, and that is good. So the first item is the attribution, of course, attributing this geocoding results to Mapbox. And the second one, the one that we are interested in, are the features. So with features, let me just go on to Google Maps, although I don't know whether that should be the right move. Let's just see. I don't know whether they have that functionality though. But let's just try this, and I'm just going to click on Google Maps. And this should open up. And so let me just go ahead and type in like a place, so Nairobi for instance. And what you're going to realize, okay, so there we go. So for example, like with Nairobi, we have different suggestions. So we have this first Nairobi, so they are arranged in order of either the closest to that place, or they're using an IP address to basically present you with this data. And so these are the closest information that is nearest to what you're searching for. And so what Mapbox has returned to us basically is almost the same results. It's almost the same as what is happening with Google Maps. And so what we can do is that we can go ahead and render that same idea onto our application. So let's just go ahead and grab this and go ahead and display a Mapbox like what we have here. We can also add these icons, but for us we're going to have an X so that we can, when we click on it, our search bar gets cleaned up, right? So let's just go ahead and try and do that. So since now we know that we have some data getting returned, we can just go ahead and we'll create a state, and we're going to call it value. So for this we can just say set value or set places. Let's just do set places, and I can just come up here and I can do const places and set places is equals to use state, and for this we can have an array. So that information is getting passed from here onto here. So we can just go ahead and even before we render that, we can create another state. So because we'll be utilizing an input field, so we can just do, let's call it value, or rather, so this is what the user will be keying in. Yeah, so let's just do set, this is supposed to be use state, and it's going to be an empty string. So we can just come down here and define that information. So I can just do, so I'll be using Tailwind CSS in this tutorial, and Tailwind is very it's a fast way of developing front-end applications. So you can just go ahead and onto Tailwind CSS, and if there is something that you haven't it's not clear, you can just go ahead and do a quick search and it will become clear, because with these utility classes, they are very simple, and you'll see how building applications with it can be minimized in a very beautiful way. So for example, you might see me typing maybe width or full, so you can just go into width and click onto that, and you are going to have all this beautiful display, and you can just go ahead and read through that documentation. Yeah, so let's just go back to our React application, and just we can do a simple div like so, and so this is going to be of the display of, now let's just leave it like that, and I can come down here and I can do another div. Actually no, let's just do an article, yeah, an article tag, just to keep to the HTML5 semantic tags. So I can just do an article, and right here I can go ahead and do a div where we can have our input of type text, and I can just give this a name of place and also ID of the same name. And so let's just go ahead and create, this is going to be like a control component, because you're going to be controlling our value. So we can just do value of value, the one that we just declared, and we can do an onChange handler, and we can pass in, we can just do an inline function. So let's just do a callback, and right here we can have set value, and we can set that to e.target value like so. And so we also remember to pass in that parameter, and also finally we can just do placeholder. Yeah, we can have a placeholder, enter endpoints, right? I think that's okay. And also we can have a simple class name where we can have padding inline of 4 and padding or PY of, so this is the vertical padding, so we can just have it as 2, and yeah, I think that will be okay. And the text, maybe we can have it small, or yeah, I think that's okay. So let's just leave that at that, and we can just come down here. So right now we should have but it's going to be just below our component. We can't see it because I think so. Let me just go ahead and we can give this let's give this class name, and we can do position of absolute, and we can do top of 0, or we can do top 5, and we can give it a right value of, like, let's say 10. Yeah, and so hoping that we did set our parent element. Let me just see if I can grab this. We did set our parent element to be display relative. Let's just see. So there we go. So our places is inside our this element, so this parent element, so that should pop up around there. So here we go. So right now we can put in data. So I'm also going to remove this outline. I don't like how it looks, so let's just go ahead and do that. So I'm going to come here and I can just say outline of none, like so. And so that should be okay. And I can just go ahead now and go down here, and I can just, now we can render out what we're getting from the database or the Mapbox Geocoding API. So let's just create another article, and we can open the curly brace because we're going to be writing some JavaScript. So we can grab the places, yeah, and so we can just do a simple map through the items. Let me call them, what can we call them? Let's just call them items, because what's the harm in that, right? And so let me just do a simple return. Sorry about that, kids outside playing, rather crying. So let's just render this out. And so what we are going to have is, let's just go ahead and assess what we have getting returned. So we have, wow, okay, she is really crying. So we have place name, so we're going to have this, and also we are going to grab the text as well. So we're going to have the text first and then the place name. So let's just go ahead and do that. So we can do a simple h4 right here, and we can do items dot text, right? So we had that, and also we had we can do a p tag, right? And we can do items dot place name, like so. Let's see whether we got that right. So yeah, so item dot place name. And so what we can do now is just come down here and just give this a bit of CSS styling. So let's just give it we can do a text of, let's do 0.9 rem, yeah, and let's give it a font of semi-bold. Yeah, that's okay. And we can also come here and give this so that they can be just a little bit distinct. We can also give this a text of 0.8 rem, and we can also give it some color, some shades of gray. So I can do text gray of 500, yeah, and yeah, so I think that's okay. And let's come here and just display this as read calls to. So that's a call, giving it like a column, a grid display and read column of 2. And what we can also do is give it some gap, right? Let's give it a bit of gap of like 2. I think that's okay. So if we go back now, so we should have something or not. We have errors. Wow, okay. So places the map is not a function. Okay, so apparently, so this data, this is the entire object. So in order like to see something, we have to call these features, because what you're currently having is just this entire object. So we need also to call that features in order for us to see anything. So let's just do dot features, and now wow. So let me just reload this, and let's see what we can get. So I don't think there are any errors. So yeah, we are not getting anything from the database. So data.features, and we are rendering. Okay, so we are not console logging. So apparently, yeah, we are not console logging anything. So we shouldn't have anything. So okay, so what we can do. Okay, so we also need to await this. Yeah, let's just go ahead and enter this. Sorry, so need to that's need to be awaited. So what we can go ahead and do is pass now our value into our dependency array, because how this works is that with every keystroke we are going to call the API. We're going to make an API call requesting for those suggestions. So if I type N, maybe I should expect like New York, Nairobi, what else, Nia, there's what else starts with N from, I don't know. So we can expect all these suggestions. So let's just go ahead and do that. So if I pass in value right there, so right now if we go back to right here and let's just try, there we go. So you see, so this is what we have. So as you can see, we have this getting rendered, and we should clean this up. Yeah, we should clean that up. So you have gap 2. So let me just go ahead and remove this. And I think grid column is not the best move for us, so we can just do flex and items, center, justify, start. Which one's better? Yeah, justify start is okay. And maybe we can do a gap of 2. So, and also we can also give this a bit of background, so we can just do bg of white and a padding y of 2, like so. And so let's hope that we have, also we need to clean this up, but let's see what, yeah, so there we go. So now it's, well, looking a little bit neater, so not bad. So right now if we go ahead and like type in it's not working. Why is it not working? So let's just go ahead and fix this up first, and then we can get back to that. So for that we also need to pass in a key, and I think we had items.id, so that should be okay. And we can go ahead and just clean this up. Let's just do class name, and we can give this a max width of small, and also we can also give this a width of full. Yeah. can also have a hover effect, so we can just do a simple hover of gray BG gray 200, so that should be subtle enough. Yeah, so yeah, looking a little bit neater. So there we go. Also, we can make this pointer to be a cursor, so let's just do cursor pointer, so like so. And let's go ahead and also remove the pointer events. So for that, I'm just going to hold Alt to select both of these ends. So I can just do pointer events of none. So that should fix a problem. And so there we go. Looking neat, yeah. And so what I would like to do now, so let me just clear this up. It should be Control L. So what we can go ahead and do now, let me just go ahead and remove this so I don't want it to spill over to the next line, so I just want to have like one line, and in case we have like more items, it just does like those ellipses. So for that, I already had a styling in my CSS file, and so I call this text cut. And so what this does, let me just comment this. So this is very magical, yeah. So we are displaying a flexible box, and then we are setting the orientation to vertical. It's more or less like how Flexbox works in a weird way, right? And so we are setting the maximum number of lines that we are going to expect to one. So in case if there are more than one, it's going to add like those ellipses, right? So those dot dot dot, yeah. And finally we have this right here, so overflow. And actually the ellipses are called alama ya dokudoku. If you are not from Kenya, it just alama ya dokudoku. Yeah, that's something new that you've learned. That's Swahili. Okay, so with that, I can just save that, and I can go back right here. Man, we are learning everything in this tutorial. So I'm just gonna grab this and just do text cut, right? Text cut like so. And so now if I go back, watch this. So this should be fixed. There we go. So as you can see, now we have those ellipses at the end. And so also let me just make this a little bit, give it some roundedness, right? And also need to get rid of my, because as you can see right now we have Nairobi getting displayed, although we have nothing here. So the reason as to why that is because we need to also fix our endpoint. So for that, also it's quite interesting how this has been working, because we already have an endpoint. So yeah, we can't really get anything. So all that time we haven't been getting anything because we haven't been passing that. Yeah, so that's why we haven't. Yeah, so let's go ahead and fix that. So for that, let's just go back to our places, and in where we are passing this search text, we can just go ahead and pass in our value. So we can just do value instead of a hard-coded value. So that should fix it. And also let's just give this a bit of roundedness, so we can just do not there, here. So rounded of full. Nope, not full. Let's just do small. Actually, we can just do it right here. So class name, rounded, small, or medium, right? So now, let me clear this because this is not on us. So now let's just go ahead and see this. So if I can type in Mombasa now, so as you can see, we have all this getting displayed, and that's good, although some of it is getting cut off, but well, it's alright, I guess. So We can also do another place like Turkana, right, or Taita. So all these are places in Kenya. And so what we can do, so yeah, let's just go ahead now and add in our icons. So I'm going to import a couple of things from React icons. So let's just do this. And I think the library I'll be importing them is AI. So I'm going to go into React icons like so. And the first thing I'm going to have is search. Yeah, so the search, so something like this, right? But we need the AI, one with AI. So this one, yeah. I'm gonna grab that, go back and paste it in right there. And I'm also going to grab something else. I'm going to grab the close icon. So I'm also going to grab this and copy that. And so now what we can do is go back to our this div, and I can just pass that in. So I can just do. So this is supposed to be. Let me just copy that, and we can give it some size. So let me just give it a size of 20 or 18 is alright also. And also need to fix this. So I think this should be on the other side. So let me just do Control X. Wow. Okay. So there we go. And also I think I'm just gonna copy this. I did a Control X instead of Control C. So there we go. And so what I can also do is let me just grab this and paste that right there, and there we have it. And so let me just give this some styling. So let me just do flex, display of flex, items, center, justify center. We can do a width of full. Let's do some gap. Let's give it some gap of also like 2. Yeah, giving that's okay. And what else? Let's give it some padding X of also 2. In that case, I think we can just remove the gap. And let's see how this looks. So we can also give it some roundedness. So let's just do MD. Now let's take a look. And so there we go. So let's also give it some color. So let's do BG white. Yeah, so with that I guess we'll be good to go. There we go. And so now this is what we have, ladies and gentlemen. This is what we have. And so what we are going to do right now, without wasting any more time, we can just go ahead and make it so that we can add a function where the values that are displayed down here. So like, let's say if I do Nairobi, right? If I do Nairobi, now if I go ahead and click this, it will give me the directions to Nairobi. Yeah. So let's just go ahead and implement that, and that is it's not that complicated. Also, I think I need to give this like a px of like 4. Yeah, so that's okay. And so let's just go ahead and do that. For that, we are going to have to put in on clicks. So let's just do on click. And for that we can declare a function. So let's just do handle click, and so I can come up here and I can do const handle click, and so for this we are going to require that that specific item. So I guess I can go ahead and grab this and pass it right there. So Control V, and remember, since this is if I pass it in like this, it's going to give me an error because this is getting called immediately, but we need to make it a callback. So let me just save this and show you what I mean. So I can just do console log hello web specialists, and let's see whether that gets displayed. So I need to click this, yeah, so not reloading it, but it's okay. Let's just see. No, actually it will get called unless I have it messed up. Let's see. So if I type in like so it's going to be called like, okay, so it appears to be working. Yeah, so like it's getting called, yeah, it's getting called. It's not a callback technically, and yeah, so and it's not like working as we expected it, yeah. So let's just go ahead and fix that. So instead of making it getting called like that, so we can just do it like so. And so items, I think that's okay, and I can just go ahead and grab that, and I just call it place. I just comment this out, and what we can now do is we can now set our endpoint. Remember that endpoint that we had? So let me just go back. So this we have declared it right here. So you want to set this to that new place, and if you go back and assess our, so let me just go ahead and, so instead of like doing this, let me just save this, and let me just console log our features again so that we can see what we can utilize. So let me just do data.features, and now let me just clean this up. Let me just type F, right? So the minute I search, I think you have something getting displayed, and so let me just go into one of these. And so one of the things we have seen is that we've utilized the place name and the place and the text, and so right now we're going to go into geometry and grab the coordinates. So we're going to grab this, and then we're going to pass it to our endpoint. So that's what we'll be doing right now. So for that, let me just console log that again, and so I'm just going to pass in. So I'm going to call set end, and I'm going to pass in now. Let me just call this place because it is a place. So let me just do place to geometry. Remember the pattern. So geometry dot coordinates, like so. And so okay, so we also need to import it. So let me just do set end. So we can also scroll down here and pass in that as a prop. So set end is equal to set end. Nice and dandy. Yeah, so if I can now, let me do, so we are currently in the US. So actually let me just go ahead and disable my auto trigger. So for that, because it will prompt me, it will trigger it. So let me just go ahead and cancel this. So let me just comment that out so it won't now trigger. So I can do, let's say, New York, right? And as you can see, since we have, so even like if I start typing, wait, so let's just do, okay, I think we need to fix this because I don't like how this is looking. Yeah, I need to fix this. Let's just go to places so that we can see what we are having. So select items, item center, so just so how are we going to, let's just remove the gap. What else can we do? Now let's go back and see how this looks. Or I can give this a width of full. I don't know if that will work. But okay, so we are having something. Yeah. I'm just trying to remove this as well. Yeah, let's just work with it like that. Okay, so okay, I see why. Yeah, so you see why we had to like that text card is important. So let's just remove return it. So let me just do Control Z and return it. So I think we're good having it in there. So now if I say New York, yeah, let me just get that. So you see our directions are getting displayed, and if I zoom out, we will have the directions to New York. And so let's try Washington. Yeah, so if I click on that, we already have the directions getting updated, and as you can see, we have the directions. Wow, it's quite like, wow, it's like crossing the entire US. Wow, okay. Yeah, so there it is. And also one last thing that we can do is to indicate, because sometimes the user might not know whether the application is working. So we're going to add like a loader just around the X. So we can also like add another functionality where if a user clicks on the X, we clear out the values. So for that, it's very simple. So let's do class name. No. So on click. Actually, this can be just you could just do a simple inline function. So let's just do set value to an empty string, like so. And so now if I think I should set this cursor to pointer. And so now if I come here, and let's just wait for it, so like so. And so you see it's been cleared out. So yeah, so now let's just, I already have like a loader right here, so I'm just going to import it. Import, I'm going to call it loader. So from, yeah, that's what it's called. And with that, what we can do, we can create another state, just one last state, and I'm going to call it is loading. This is going to be a boolean. So with this, the default is going to be false, and to implement this is actually very simple. So we are going to call it on top, we're going to set the opposite, we're going to set it to true while before we make the call to the database. So we're going to set it to true, and then after the item must be grabbed, so it's going only to be active between this render. So before the item gets called, so we're going to have that loader getting displayed. So with this we can just do set this loading to false. And so what we can just go ahead and do now is have it right here. So we can also give this like a display of relative, because we're going to display it as an absolute item. So let me just do let me just call it so is loading. So and so if it's true, then this image is going to be, or this GIF, right, is going to be displayed. So come on. Nope. Loader, like so. And the alt text is going to be loading GIF. So loader, yeah, I'm guessing that's okay. Let's give it a class name. Is that how you define? Let's just see. Yeah, I think we're good. So I'm going to go ahead and give it some give it a class. So of absolute, and then top. Let's just do top half, left half, and transform, translate. Oh, okay, so translate. Come on, X, like so. Let's just see what we have, and also I can give it some width of like 5, or just because I want us to see it, let's just do width 10, height 10, and let's see what we have. So let's try, and you can see it. So have you seen it? It's like for a very split second it's there. So there we go, but I don't think it's in the right place. So I don't know how to do this, but I think if I can go to my network and just bump my internet to slow, right? So to slow 3G, so I can go ahead and now try. So there we go, you can see it now. So beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So we can just go ahead and fix that now and just do 5 and 5, and I don't even, okay, so top 0, left 0. I guess that's okay, since okay, so not bad, but you do get the idea, right? Or let's try united. So there we go. So you can see it, right? So it's working. Beautiful, beautiful. Come on, yeah. So I think that's okay. Yeah, that's okay. It is working, as you can see. If I click on another point, it will take some time before it renders it out, because I'm on slow 3G. But I hope you've learned something, my dear friend. And if you have, just leave a like on this button, on this tutorial, on this video, and I'll see you on the next one. Have a great day.